Hello, everyone. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at a classic tactic, and that is to sneak up on somebody in their blind spot and basically give them the good old fashioned surprise attack. Now, what makes this a particular tactic very, very viable is the fact that if you can somehow get into somebody's behind quarter and they can't see you, you basically can just obliterate them without them even knowing you're there. That's the concept, right? But there's actually a couple little problems that you're going to run into when you attempt that tactic, and we're going to take a look at that today. So let's take a look at our scenario. I'll go ahead and flip things on so you can kind of see it in real time here. We have a group of a bunch of MiG 35s. This is a MiG 1.42 MFIs. These are very, very modern, very, very high tech MiG aircraft. They work great. They're proceeding basically in this little northerly course here, right next to Baja, California. Behind them is this very, very crafty F 35A Lightning II, equipped with none other than the AIM 260 JATMs, which are basically these stupidly long range missiles that can, like, basically reach out and touch things, what is it, 120 nautical miles away. Not to mention, look at its probability of hit 95%. These things don't miss, right? Well, we got issues. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and come up with a way that we can sneak up on these guys. And I'll show you both problems. Now, right now, the F-35 does not have his radar turned on. Of course, the F-35's radar is an extremely advanced phased array radar, which you basically can't pick up using any type of electronics, mostly. That being said, we're going to rely on its visual sensors to spot. So let's go ahead and unpause for a second and go ahead and acquire them. And now notice immediately, I'll go ahead and pause again. We have bogey number 2 here. We picked them up with the EODAS. The EODAS, remember, which is this ridiculously effective infrared array. I've actually watched a video of this thing in action. It is that ridiculous. Now notice as soon as I've acquired them on that one, moments later, the EOTS kicks on, and that's, again, the infrared navigation. So now the neat thing is, because these missiles are super duper modern, we can basically pop these things off right now. Let's do it. So I'm going to go ahead and select these guys. I'm going to go ahead and lock on to them. I'm going to order up an attack immediately. I'll go ahead and give him just a few moments. He's going to flip on his radar for probably a millisecond here, and he's going to start popping these suckers off like they were basically candy here. So there goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of these things. They're on their way, and we'll go ahead and switch over to our good friends over here in the MiG 35s. Now, the first thing that they're going to notice is they're going to get a warning that something's coming up behind them. They have MAWs on board, so they're going to know that the missile attack is coming. Everybody immediately breaks and starts cutting directly into it. And pause. So now something I want to show off here, and I'll go ahead and give it just a few moments here. Let's go ahead and fire up a weapon endgame so we can go ahead and see what happens here. So our missiles come arriving, they start exploding, they start exploding, they start exploding, boom, 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 and all the aircraft are obliterated. Now, the interesting thing here, now this is actually really, really important here, is if I take a look at the weapon itself, you'll notice that its normal percent to hit was a 95%. Now, of course, what happens is because that missile had to travel to get to the target, remember, by the time the missile arrived there, these MiGs had traveled something like, well, I can't do the math quick enough, 17 miles, 18 miles? So that means even though I fired within 1/3 of the range of the weapon, I've already sucked up almost half of its range getting to the target, which means if you take a look right here, nominal agility of 5.5, adjusted for altitude, just for proficiency, empty weight fraction, we're not going to worry about that high deflection impact. I don't think it was that much of a high deflection. The final agility modifier was a staggering 26% reduction, putting it all the way down to a 69%, not counting all the spoofs and chaffs and stuff like that. But that being said, we were still successful in that engagement. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open that up one more time. Go ahead and pop back over here. And what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to double the range of our good F-35 buddy. So right now we're at 30 nautical miles. I'm going to go ahead and back him up over here. We'll go ahead and put him at, what is his distance? That should be somewhere close to 60. That's a bomb. 60 on the nose. Not bad. Good estimate. So go ahead and give him a moment to go ahead and acquire those pesky aircraft. Now watch what happens this time. So again, I put myself a little bit of distance here. I'm going to press the good old F1 key. Go ahead and select them all. The F-35A, of course, by the time they get there, they'll still have not just traveled 18 miles. They'll probably have traveled something like, let's see, 450. That's going to take about 3 minutes. That's at 3 into that. That's almost 25 miles. So the missiles go ahead and fire off just exactly like they did this time. Now watch what happens. So these missiles are fired at double the range, even though they're well within the maximum range capacity of this aircraft. So let's go ahead and switch to God's eye view here so we can watch what happens. The missiles arrive, the MAWS goes off, and notice the missiles just start kind of raining. One of the guys pulled away from it immediately and managed to duck out of the way just in time. Now, when I've tested this in the past, one of the missiles have struck them at that distance, and all the other ones missed. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at the records here real fast. Go ahead and pop this up so you can kind of see here. You'll notice our JATM, remember, was at 95%, was down to 67 by the time it got there. So again, that little teeny tiny percentage can really make a difference when you're trying to really, really nail the other guy. Now, let me show you the next aspect of setting up an engagement like this. So let's go ahead and grab this guy again. Yes, I name all my missions the same thing deal. So I'm going to grab this guy again, but this time we're going to design it to make it a little less likely that he'll be picked up. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go ahead and move him a little bit stupid close here. And I'm also going to increase the speed just a tiny bit so that we accidentally pick him up. And we'll show you in the next issue. Go ahead and unpause, switch to the other team, go to red. He's got to do his little turn there. They're all going to do the little turn, and we picked him up immediately off the left side. And of course, that's actually a missile. That's not him. He's chilling here at a distance of, what do we got there? It's about 7 nautical miles here. So the next thing you need to be thinking about is you need to be thinking about the altitude of your engagements. Now I'm going to go ahead and let him kind of finish the job here. I love that guy just diving for the deck. Oh, didn't work. Haha. Surprise. Now we're going to go ahead and get you MIG'd. Let's come on down here. Is at 15,000. Oh, no. He's down too. Oh, there he is. Get him. Get that F-35. Get that F-35. This is going to be basically a vertical engagement. Oh, look at this. This is bad. So unfortunately, it was not able to demonstrate what I wanted to, so I'm going to quickly reset that. So the next thing you need to be thinking about, like I said a moment ago, is aspect. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go and take a look at the differences in altitudes between the two targets here. So we're at 36,000 feet right now. We're going to pick up these guys in a minute, just like we did the first time. But you're going to notice these chaps are at an altitude once the EOTS kind of kicks up, actually identifies them. 280. Come on, let's go ahead and get it. Come on, EOTS. Come on, EOTS. It'll get them in a sec. There we go. So we don't know what the altitude of these targets are. And of course, what has the F-35 done? He's already launched. But we know that 36,000 feet. So if we want to be able to safely do this operation, we actually want to get underneath the targets that we're trying to fire at. So when we go ahead and launch, they can't turn around and see us immediately because we're going to be basically out of their effective range. So I'm going to go ahead and let the fireworks start here, and we're very effective. To show you how easy that can be, I'm actually going to switch again. We'll go ahead and load the scenario one more time. I'm going to go ahead and delete this F-35. And instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in something, that I've probably used a few times in the past. And that is the F-5E. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go get the nice version here. I think there's a G model. I always forget. Or is the M? I think it's not the R model. I feel like there's a Tiger 3. Tiger 123. I was right. It was Chile. That's the country. I was in Chile, sorry. Go ahead and grab this one real quickly here. Actually, we don't want the or the F version. We want the E version because we want the one that doesn't have the stuff. So we can use a Derby or we can use a Python. I'm going to go with the Python because why not? So now we have an F-5, which is a totally different aircraft as far as trying to sneak up on something as advanced as the MiG-35s. So notice we have no concept of where the enemy aircraft are. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and kick speed up a little bit. I'm also going to reduce his altitude. Now, when you reduce altitude, of course, you're going to be struggling a little bit for range here. So be kind of mindful of that. So we're just kind of cruising along. We're cruising along. We got some GCI information saying, hey, there's a group of MiG-35s. My little F-5E is like going, okay, we'll do. If I can find them, I'll do something about it. Now, notice the last thing in the world this F-5 wants to do is flip on his radar. If he were to do that, he'd immediately get picked up. Helping us out a little bit, though, let me go ahead and flip over sensors. I'll go ahead and add something real quickly. We'll go ahead and add the same sensor that our good friend had over there. Detection, tracking. We'll go ahead and say F-35. That should make it a little bit easier for us to continue our scenario here. So now he's going to look around with the yachts, and it shouldn't take him too long. There we go. What an amazing system that is. So now what we're going to do is we're going to try to use this, ancient piece of technology against this extremely modern. And we've set everything up really, really carefully here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and flip over to 3D view just so you can kind of understand the geometry a little bit here. 3D view, 3D view. There we go. So now notice, if we look at it from the side, our little F-5E is chilling at a significantly higher altitude than these guys, which is not desirable. What we want to do is we want to be below them. Now, if you remember, if we switch to a God's eye view, let's go ahead and press this one real fast. Oops, I should have closed that quicker. You'll notice the reality, however, is, there we go. Whoops, is that we're below them. So line of sight wise, they have to look through the body of the airplane and they have to be able to see this guy come sneaking up on him right now. So this is going to be a superior position to be in. Now, if these were ships, of course, we want to be constantly kind of clearing our baffles. Now, he's gone ahead and got himself real aggressive here, and he immediately popped a shot off, which is going to be a problem for him because even though he's in a perfect aspect for firing these things, he fired them at the absolute maximum of their range. So we're going to see exactly what that does to the overall performance of it in just a second. That was a big mistake. Oh, that was a mistake. Notice this missile will run out of energy before it even gets to him. So as you can see, that was a mistake. And now these MiG-35s are going to have a real fun time with this guy. Unfortunately, as you could see, you've got to be very mindful of your units. But the actual engagement was pretty clever. Our little young pilot just got a little Cocky is the word I'll use for this one. So hopefully this helps as far as showing you how you can use that tactic as well as some of the common traps that people fall into it. It's a great tactic if you can get away with it. A lot of times I'll do a bait and switch. I'll put two F-35s. I'll send one up here and I'll send the other one behind. These guys will go raining down on the one F-35 or the other guy basically just sneaks right up on them. So that's a great strategy. Enjoy.